UFC 319, Du Plessis versus Chimaev. How we doing, everybody? My name is Young Pasty, the whitest to do it, and I got a pick and a prediction for every single fight on the card. And I am excited for this pay-per-view, one of the last pay-per-views we will ever see for UFC. They are ditching the pay-per-view model if you guys didn't see the news. Pay-per-views are no longer. In 2026, UFC has made a deal with Paramount. Yeah, CBS. And all you gotta do, pay the monthly price, you get all the UFC events. So, a big win for us UFC fans. I'm very happy about that. But this card right here, UFC 319, I'm excited for it. There are tons of great fights. We got some newcomers to the UFC. I believe we have an Ultimate Fighter Championship and some big names about to put on here. So, yeah, I mean, main event, Du Plessis, Chimaev. Co-main, Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico making his UFC debut. We get to see a fighter nerd again, Carlos Prates. Okay. And then Chase Hooper, Bryan Battle, some of my favorite fighters here we'll get to see fight again. So, it's a pretty solid pay-per-view. Now, as we always do, guys, I have to recap last week. UFC Vegas 109. Pulling the results up here right now. We went 11-1 on the picks. Let's freaking go. A solid week for the picks. And honestly, I should have went 12-0. Okay? Cody Brundage got robbed in that Eric McConical fight. My opinion. But nevertheless, we hit on the underdog and Andre Fili. Again, C-Rod cannot beat vets. Okay? Andre Fili, a vet. What'd he do? Beat him. You know what I mean? So, and a couple of fights I would like to point out. Fluffy Hernandez, man, that submission was brutal. Dragged the man across the floor by his neck. Was really nice. Christian Duncan knockout was nice. The Elijah Smith knockout, it literally gave me goosebumps. Like, I didn't know if Kazama was going to wake up. And, that Jocelyn Edwards knockout over Zombie Girl, I just keep watching it. It's just so clean. She just falls back. It was really nice. So, 11-1 on the picks last week. Pretty solid. So let's move. Let's get my words straight here. Let's do that. Let's roll that good momentum into this week for UFC 319. Okay? And let's get to it here, guys. The main event for UFC 319. We have DDP, Dricus Du Plessis, versus Khamzat Chimaev. Odds on the fight, plus 170 for Dricus Du Plessis, minus 210 for Khamzat Chimaev. My pick for this fight is going to be DDP. Give me Dricus Du Plessis. And still, the defending champ. I like this guy, okay? And it just goes to show my theory keeps working. With the last fight here in Chris Duncan. I got to keep backing my boys, especially when they're underdogs, okay? I've backed DDP throughout his whole career in the UFC. I had him over Adesanya. I had him over Strickland twice. I had him multiple times. I had him over Whitaker. I had him all these times here in the past. So he's, it's just, there's a rhyme and reason to my madness, okay? I'm picking DDP because he's my boy, and he always comes through, especially when he's an underdog and people count him out. He just has this weird, awkward style that works, right? It's super unorthodox. And honestly, his grappling is underrated. And it's really, really good for the division. Now, it's never been tested this level. Because Khamzat Chimaev, this is some of the best grappling we've ever seen in the UFC. This guy gets takedowns with ease. This guy gets takedowns within the first 10, 15, 20 seconds, right? And he gets them easy, too. Snatches the back real easy, gets you on the ground, and just smothers you and holds you. Now, when it comes to the striking, striking's okay, probably could be improved. I honestly give the striking advantage to DDP. Now, we saw Khamzat go back and forth with Usman, right? But DDP, I think, is a whole nother level here. He's the champ for a reason. He's defended the belt multiple times. And now, either both of these guys, right? We've never seen either of them on their back, so it's hard to kind of tell or see what they'll do on their back. I imagine Dricus is going to get taken down, but on the flip side, I think he can also mix in the grappling and take down Khamzat. What if DDP ends up submitting Khamzat? That would be nuts. I haven't seen the number on it, but I bet you that's probably the biggest number when it comes to DDP's method of victory, right? We've never seen Khamzat on his back. We've never seen Khamzat go past round 3, right? Like, we've seen DDP, he has 5-round cardio, even though he might look slow and exhausted, and honestly, the whole fight, he's not. That's just like, he has this weird plodding forward, in your face, constant volume kind of style. And it's just weird and unorthodox. He just throws whatever he wants. He's like, he got this awkward kind of build too. He's wide, very muscular, strong guy. It's going to be a good fight. This is a really good fight here. And it's like, is Khamzat the real deal? You know, we've seen him just work his way up with ease. But I think DDP is something he hasn't seen. And something he's going to have a lot of trouble with. So, give me Dricus, du Plessis, and give me him by decision. I think he takes it all 5 rounds. I think Khamzat might take round 1 or round 2. But after that, he's going to kind of get a little bit exhausted. He's going to realize that he's not going to be able to get the submission over DDP. And he's going to have to stand and strike because DDP is going to defend off these takedowns. He actually has decent sprawls and good takedown defense. And then again, he might even mix in the wrestling himself. So, Dricus, du Plessis by decision. And still, give me the underdog to come through. One of my boys. I'm backing my boy once again to win this fight. Let's go. Moving on to our co-main event. And guys, if you are new around here or if you have not, please click that subscribe button. We are on the road to 300 subscribers. I am almost there, guys. I'm less than like 10 away. So, again, 11-1 on the picks last week. We've been doing pretty good around here, so I'd appreciate it if you click that subscribe button if you're new or if you haven't. Spend a lot of time and devotion to this to provide you guys what I do here. So anyway, co-main event, we have Lerone the Miracle Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Odds in the fight here. Plus 140 for Lerone Murphy and minus 160 for Aaron Pico. Now these are Tapology odds, so that's just what I'm seeing here. Anyway, my pick for the fight is going to be Lerone Murphy. Give me the underdog, okay? And still undefeated. And this is the theory here, guys. It's been going around. And, I personally went against it. It screwed me. But I'm not going against it again. Bellator guys making their UFC debut. They generally lose, guys. They generally lose. We saw it with Tafik Musayev. We saw it with Pitbull. We saw it with Patchy Mix. Like, the list can go on and on. But those are the past 3 guys within this year to all have letdowns coming from Bellator. Lerone Murphy has been working his way up in this game in the UFC. He's undefeated. He has really solid wins against really good people. I think Aaron Pico, this is just too much for him. This is too hard of a UFC debut. Can he make a competitive fight? Definitely. Can he have moments? Definitely. But Lerone Murphy, he's got the momentum. He's undefeated. Good striking. The movement. I think the movement is really going to throw off Pico. And Lerone Murphy has really good cardio too, right? He's been 5 rounds, and I really just favor the UFC experience over Bellator. Like, that's just, it really just was an auto fade, almost, right? Like, Bellator guy, really good over there. Not shitting on the guy, right? Because he's a good fighter, you know what I mean? But making your UFC debut against a guy who's been rising up the rankings, right? And it's almost a little bit disrespectful to Lerone Murphy, right? Giving him a fight who Aaron Pico is not ranked, like, what's this going to do for him in his career? You know what I mean? He's the one taking on more risk than Aaron Pico is. But Murphy, again, I think the movement's really nice. I think he has good striking. He is a little chinny, okay? He can get wobbled at times. I think Aaron Pico, again, he might have moments, right? Might, hit him with a nice shot here and there. Like Dan Ige, for example, got a nice little moment over Lerone Murphy. It's like he can get wobbled, but he's got a pretty solid chin. Murphy more of like a point fighter to me. He doesn't really have that knockout kind of power, that one-shot kind of power. He's a minute winner, right? Control, volume, shots, consistent damage. Not necessarily the biggest damage, but consistent. Mixes in takedowns, holds people on the fence. He can mix in his own takedowns too. I anticipate Murphy getting a takedown over or on Pico and holding him on the ground for some point. Now, Pico, I think he has the will to kind of get up, maybe not be able to hold him down there too often. But Murphy's definitely going to be bigger and longer than him. A little bit older, okay? I will give you that. He's 6 years older than Aaron Pico. So Aaron Pico, 28, right? Still a little bit younger in his career. But has not fought in 1.5 years. Never lost by decision, which I think Lerone Murphy will take him all 3 rounds and win the fight by decision. Pico's a finisher, right? He only has 2 decision wins out of his 14 and never lost by decision. Again, I think he's going to be a lot smaller. I think he's going to get out-physicaled by Lerone Murphy and kind of like out-bodied. I mean, Pico swings heavy. Like he swings for the stars, swinging for that grand slam shot. And sometimes recklessly, right? I honestly, I think he swings real heavy. Lerone Murphy is going to be able to shoot a double leg or single leg, take him down pretty easy. Now, when Pico does, on the flip side, I mean, he can mix in his own grappling too, and honestly, he's probably got some better top control than Lerone Murphy, but I don't see Murphy getting taken down or held on the ground too often. I got Lerone Murphy by decision. I think it's just an outclassed kind of performance over Aaron Pico. Again, UFC over Bellator. And we've seen it 3 times this year already. People making their UFC debut from Bellator losing. So, I see a 4th one happening here. Lerone Murphy by decision is my official pick. Let's go. All right, next fight. We have a striker's delight here, guys. We have Geoff Neal, Hands of Steel, versus Carlos the Nightmare Prates. Current odds in the fight, -245 for Prates, +210 for Geoff Neal. My pick for this fight is going to be Carlos Prates. Now, Geoff Neal is no easy out, okay? Carlos Prates probably going to have to take this by decision. I anticipate probably at 29-28. Maybe win the first round, maybe win the 3rd round, drop the 2nd round. Because Geoff Neal, he's like a test, right? He, passed the Geoff Neal test, he kind of deserved to be in the rankings, right? Now he's kind of been declining, kind of been losing. But, he's losing to some pretty good competition, right? Ian Gary and Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now he's coming off a win versus RDA, but it's an older RDA and it was a leg injury, right? His last actual win coming kind of like 3 years ago. Santiago Ponzinibbio by split, and then a KO over Vicente Luque, so 34 years old, kind of getting a little bit older. Prates definitely has the hype right now, guys. He's one of the fighting nerds, one of the elite fighting nerds, okay? Coming off a loss, his first loss in the UFC against Ian Gary. I had Ian Gary and I backed him in that fight. Man, 5th round had me on skates for sure because Carlos Prates was getting some good shots and really could have closed the fight out, but lacked the fighter IQ in the 5th round. Just honestly, he needed like 3 or 4 more punches to win the fight. Ian Gary was like crawling around on the octagon. But how I see Prates winning this fight, he's a tall, long, lanky, rangy striker with some really good flashy KOs. I think the large octagon is going to help him here. I think he picks him apart at range. Has a really nice, constant jab that he throws out. KO power, for sure. Good kicks, too. Good Muay Thai. Good pressure. Good knees. Maybe on the back foot at times because Neal makes a point to pressure forward. So, at times I see Prates probably on the back foot unless he starts teeing off and hurting Geoff Neal, which will end up, Prates will be moving forward at that point. But Prates needs to stay at range. He needs to stay off the fence because Geoff Neal will probably dirty boxing, hold him up against the fence. May have trouble closing distance, but Geoff Neal is a power puncher, man. He's just mostly hands and boxing. The range is definitely going to be an issue, but he'll probably close distance, find some good shots in. Again, I think he probably, wins the 2nd round. He on it every fight, right? He comes in at like a +200. He's always live to win, right? He's just kind of like lower volume, doesn't really throw enough kicks to my liking. His output's generally going to be lower than his opponent. I think he's just not. Everyone's probably going to be on Prates KO, right? Everyone's probably going to be on Prates KO, but Geoff Neal, vet in the game. Prates coming off a loss, may may want to take it a little patient and easy here. I don't know. Geoff Neal susceptible to knees and the Muay Thai clinch. Doesn't really help him there. But he's just got this block head and this thick body. He's just a really hard guy to KO. I don't think Prates is going to KO him, even with all those advantages that Prates has. So it's going to be a hard-fought 3 rounds. I'm really excited for this fight. I think Prates passes the Geoff Neal test, and I think we have another decision here on the main card. Give me Carlos Prates and give me him by decision. One of the fighting nerds getting it done again. Let's go. All right, next fight on the main card. We have Jared Cannonier, the Killa Gorilla. Yeah, he's still fighting here, guys. Versus Michael Venom Page. Odds on the fight, plus 155 for Cannonier, minus 175 for Michael Venom Page. My pick for this fight is going to be MVP. Give me Michael Venom Page. I don't really like the guy, to be honest with you. But I will pick him and back him here to win this fight. He has this very creative, unique, striking kind of style. Movement is one of a kind, right? You don't really see any sort of movement that Michael Venom Page has, or is, he has this like karate-esque kind of style. A little similar to Wonder Boy, but super unorthodox, right? But it lets him avoid shots very well, and I don't know, he's just very fluid with his movement, and it's very creative. But on the flip side, in the UFC that I've seen, right, he doesn't really have that like KO urge or finishing kind of pop. It's more like a point fighter, like get your shots in, move in and out. Get your shots in, move in and out. You know what I mean? So, again, I don't really like the guy. I don't like his style, but I think it works. Jared Cannonier, he's gonna have trouble closing the distance and finding the shots on these guys. I mean, he may clip MVP once or twice, but I don't think it's gonna KO MVP, and I don't think it's gonna make much of a difference in the fight. Because I think Venom Page is gonna be landing more of the strikes and more of the volume here. I just see Cannonier getting super frustrated, but he still has it at this age, guys. Like, I mean, you saw the win over RoboCop. That shit was nice. Long ass arms, super strong. Now, he's awful off his back and getting taken down, but this is going to be a striking match between these two here. Tons of UFC experience on the Cannonier side. Now, MVP was a former Bellator guy, but this is not his UFC debut, and we've seen him rattle off a couple of wins. Last win coming, against Shara Bullet. You know what I mean? So I've already said it like 3 times. I don't like MVP style. It's like he's running away, punching, run away, punching. It'll be kind of a boring fight in my opinion. But I think MVP gets it done on the scorecards. Maybe Cannonier wins a close round with the better strikes. I don't know. But I don't even give him that. I think it's going to be a 30-27 MVP. So, Michael Venom Page by decision over Jared Cannonier. That is my official pick. Let's go. All right, next fight. And this is our main card opener. We have Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. Odds on the fight plus 235 for Tim Elliott. Minus 285 for Kai Asakura. My pick for the fight is going to be Kai Asakura. Yeah, give me the UFC newcomer here. Now, I'll say it right off the bat. His auto title shot versus Pantoja, that shit was unwarranted. Okay, he should not have gotten an automatic title shot coming from a different organization versus Pantoja. And we saw him get handled. Now, he is still a good, experienced fighter who I think is going to do some pretty good things in the UFC, right? He's a little bit younger at 31. Tim Elliott's, 38 years old? I mean, he's still fighting, right? But he really hasn't been relevant, since 2020 when it comes to the rankings and things like that. Almost a 2-year layoff here for him. He had a grappling match in May of 2025, but not a UFC fight. But I think Kai Asakura is going to get this done by knockout. Okay, I think he's much more explosive. I think he's much more athletic. He has pretty good kicks, pretty good KO power. We've seen him, do some work and some business in Rizin, right? Good ground game, good takedowns, aggressive, powerful, bigger, younger, faster, stronger. Head kick KO from Kai Asakura. He's going to lay out Tim Elliott, man. Now, if this gets to the mat and Tim Elliott's on top, or on bottom too, he's crafty with the submissions. You never know. Kai Asakura could get caught. I mean, we saw it with fucking Pantoja. You know what I mean? But you're comparing Tim Elliott to Pantoja. That's two different grappling levels here. I think Kai Asakura can handle the grappling threat from Tim Elliott. And I think he finds him with a head kick in maybe round 2, late round 1. I got Kai Asakura by knockout here, guys. I think he, comes off that loss here, wants to win in the UFC. Now, if he really doesn't have it and isn't UFC material here, we'll see it by losing to Tim Elliott. Maybe it goes decision, where Tim Elliott's, able to teach him some vet lessons within, but he's able to string it out. I don't see that. Kai Asakura by the head kick KO. I don't know why I keep seeing it, but that's what I got here. Kai Asakura by KO. That's my official pick for this fight. Let's go. All right, next fight. We have Bobby Green versus Diego Ferreira. Yeah, I'm not calling you King Green. No, sir. Odds on the fight here, we have plus 170 for Green and, minus 200 for Ferreira. Old men going out of here, 38 and 40 years old. My pick for the fight is going to be Diego Ferreira. I am auto-fading Bobby Green. I think his chin is gone, man. And I think this is too quick of a turnaround from his last KO loss from Roofy. It's just way too soon. When did that happen here? 5 months ago. I don't know. I think he needs a little more time to recover from that. Bobby Green, okay striker, more of a boxer, really. Very low hands at all times, which, doesn't really suit him well. But he's got fast hands, right? Probably will have more volume than Ferreira, but his impact's not really that good. No ground game whatsoever. If Ferreira chooses to take him down, or probably be at will and be able to hold him there. But again, this was an auto fade right when I saw Green here. This guy cannot be trusted at all. Diego Ferreira, on the other hand, I give him some credit, okay? Right? He's coming off a couple of solid wins, other than the loss to Grant Dawson, which, are you going to give him crap for that at 40 years old? No. But he went to war with Rebecki and found a late KO in the 3rd round. Laid out Michael Johnson. Had him laying like this on the ground. So, and that's within the last 2 years. He still has the power in his hands. And his losses before that, Mateusz Gamrot, you're going to give him crap for that. Gregor Gillespie, okay, you probably, could have had a better one than that, right? But Bobby Green's not facing the competition that Ferreira is. Right? Like Jim Miller, Jalen Turner, Grant Dawson himself, Paddy Pimblett, Mauricio Rufy. I think Ferreira's been facing some elite guys. Now, Pimblett, Rufy, those are, up-and-comers here that we've seen. Those are some pretty good guys too. But nevertheless, I think Ferreira lays out Bobby Green. Okay, I think he KOs him. I think he finds the mark somewhere, right? Again, Ferreira has the finishing ability on with the grappling and the submissions. I don't think he uses it, though. But I like his overhands. I like his straight shots. Honestly, he has some pretty decent volume himself. 41 years old kind of bothers me. No, not 41, 40. But still, he still has heavy hands. He's Brazilian. We saw the 3-round cardio before. Green has, some suspect cardio. Ferreira's, tough. He won't give up. He won't quit. I like the feints that he mixes in and the body shots that he mixes in. And I think that Green's going to be biting on a lot of those. So I got Ferreira by KO in this fight. I'm back in my Brazilian. Let's go. All right, our next fight, the featured prelim. We have Gerald Meerschaert, GM3 versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. I think I said that right. I did my best. Odds on the fight, plus 190 for Gerald Meerschaert, minus 230 for Michal Oleksiejczuk. My pick for this fight is going to be Oleksiejczuk, okay? Gerald Meerschaert, what do I do with this guy? You know what I mean? He always has that crazy submission that he can pull out of his ass, or these crazy wins that he pulls off. But I don't think he can hang with Michal here. Michal actually has some heavy hands. Now, in the past, I wasn't backing him. He said he was potentially maybe quitting the sport or something like that. But he had a solid win versus Dumas. Okay, the grappling's underrated, and I think he may be able to use it. But he's got some heavy hands, man. He's been knocking some people out. And I look at his knockout wins, and they're pretty impressive, right? He knocked out Chitty. That was really nice. Knocked out Dumas. That was really nice, too. had a tough 3-fight skid here when he was. I mean, these fights are very close together too, right? Michal Pereira, Kevin Holland, Shara Magomedov. Not people to be embarrassed to lose by, you know what I mean? But, I thought he was declining at a point, but, he came out with that win versus Dumas. And they're giving him another winnable fight here. Just keep this shit on the feet, right? Don't let Meerschaert cling up on you or try and get you to the ground because he always has that submission threat. GM3 submissions always live, no matter what the fight looks like. But I think Oleksiejczuk can hopefully avoid all the submission threats and eventually maybe knock him out. I think Oleksiejczuk could knock out Geral Meerschaert because Meerschaert's been chinned at times, right? I just hope Oleksiejczuk doesn't when you follow him to the ground, right? He'll try and clinch you up and hold you up and then try and get a submission. We saw Oleksiejczuk get caught in an armbar versus Kevin Holland. I don't know, fending off submissions, I wouldn't say he's necessarily the best. You know what I mean? If you're a betting man or woman, I would say maybe the under 2.5 or maybe fight not to go the distance is something to look at here because Meerschaert has a finishing ability at any point. Oleksiejczuk has heavy hands. Meerschaert's been kind of a little bit chinny lately. So, both these guys have finishing upside. So, maybe the under 2.5 something to look at here. But anyway, official pick for this fight. This is what I'm doing. Oleksiejczuk by KO. I think he chins Meerschaert and ends the fight. So, that's my official pick. All right, our next fight. Women going at it. This is one of 2 women's fights in the night? Okay. We have Jessica Andrade versus Loopy Godinez. Odds on the fight plus 150 for Andrade, minus 175 now for Loopy Godinez. My pick for this fight is going to be Godinez. Honestly, I think she is going to dominate Andrade. Now, Andrade definitely has some power, right? And, submission threats too. So, Andrade does have some finishing upside, but I think Godinez is just going to handle her for all 3 rounds. I think Andrade is kind of getting, on the decline. I don't really know where she's at in her career. She's been getting finished bad lately. Now she's been fighting a lot. I'll give her credit for that. But I think she's on the decline. I miss her aggression. I miss aggressive Jessica Andrade. Now, if she comes out super aggressive, then that changes things, right? It could be an evenly matched fight. But I think Loopy Godinez has the advantage in the striking with the power, with the volume, with the pressure. I think she has the advantage with the takedowns. I think she can probably take down Jessica Andrade pretty easy and she'll accept it. And beat her up on the ground too, hold her there, get some control time. Again, but, I said Andrade, she has finishing upside. She's opportunistic with her finishes, right? They come flashy, out of nowhere. She can beating the crap out of a head kick. One clean left hook or overhand that hits. Crazy submission that she gets when you're tired or something like that. Don't count Andrade out. But honestly, I think Loopy's going to dominate this fight. I think the boxing and the striking is really going to show. She has a really good jab. I think Andrade's face is going to get really beat up. And I like the takedowns and the control on the mat too. So now, Godinez, she's not very good on the back. I will say that. Andrade mixes in the wrestling and the grappling, able to take down Godinez. Maybe might drop around. You know what I mean? But all of those factors given, I think Loopy Godinez comes out with the win, a dominant win, by decision over Jessica Andrade. I wouldn't be surprised if she wins by KO either. But my official pick that I'm rolling with here is Loopy Godinez by decision. So, let's go. All right, moving on to our next fight here. We have Alexander, the Great Ape Hernandez versus Chase the Dream Hooper. Odds on the fight, plus 240 for Hernandez, minus 290 for Chase Hooper. My pick for this fight is going to be Chase Hooper. I think, they're moving him up a little bit more. He's kind of been fighting these older guys that really aren't, they're names, right? But they're kind of easier fights for Chase Hooper. They're giving him a harder fight here in Alexander Hernandez. Still winnable fight, though. But I think he gets it done by decision. I don't think he's able to submit Hernandez. I don't think he's able to knock out Hernandez. Hernandez has been known to have a pretty solid chin and is not no dummy on the mat, right? And I don't know, he's real fucking thick and big. I just don't see Hooper getting a submission over Hernandez. But anywho, Hooper, long and lanky for this division, tall, striking is underrated, right? And you'll see him put that on versus Alexander Hernandez. Now everyone's going to be on the Chase Hooper sub, and he will hunt for subs, and he will probably end up taking Hernandez down and controlling him at times, but I don't see him getting the submission. He was fighting hard for a submission over Jim Miller, couldn't get it. Jim Miller's a vet in this game, right? And Alexander Hernandez, kind of a gatekeeper, kind of a journeyman kind of fighter. In my opinion, he lost his last fight versus Hubbard. I thought Hubbard won most of those, exchanges and had the better fight there. And if you do an MMA math here, right, give me Chase Hooper versus Austin Hubbard. I'm picking Chase Hooper all day, and I think he handles him with ease. And I think the same thing with Alexander Hernandez. Maybe a 29-28, but I think Hooper can take this with a 30-27 here. I think he outclasses him in all 3 rounds. Hernandez will actually probably try to wrestle Hooper, to be honest with you. But if you roll through Hernandez's win history, loss history, he just can't beat the upper echelon guys. I'm putting Chase Hooper in that level here, and Chase Hooper's been on the rise. So, I don't see it being a close fight really. Hernandez may have moments, but I got Chase Hooper by a 30-27 decision, man. The striking and the grappling keeps improving fight by fight. He's got that daddy strength now, okay? He's been leveling up and showing improvements every single fight. I'm not going to not back him. And now we're finally getting him at a little bit of a better number, right? He's been at like minus 1,000 or above here recently because he's fighting all these old men. So, he's still going to be younger than Hernandez, but I got Chase Hooper by decision. That is my official pick for this fight. Let's go. Moving on to our next fight. We got some more old men going at it. Now, when I say old men, this is old men in UFC terms, right? Because they're dang near my age. Anyway, Edson Barboza, 39 years old, versus Drakkar Klose, 37 years old. Odds on the fight, minus 150 for Barboza, plus 130 for Drakkar Klose. My pick for this fight. I'm going with Edson Barboza here, man. I'm backing with the older Brazilian. I like him, dude. He's a tough striker. His last 2 fights, he's coming off 2 5-round fights in main events. Now moving down to the prelims, fighting Drakkar Klose. Edson Barboza's fighting way better competition than Drakkar Klose. He's had a much better career than Drakkar Klose. Now, Drakkar, look, he's made a good career out of the UFC, right? Has some okay wins, but no notable wins. Like his best wins are Rafa Garcia and Bobby Green. Right, those are his best wins in the UFC. So, look, I'll give him credit for making a career out of the UFC and making money. But I think he's just outmatched here versus Edson Barboza. Like, even though Barboza's a little inactive, right, fighting once a year-ish. 2 5-round fights he's coming off of, main events, previously ranked. Just good kickboxing, good striking, really good kicks. Constantly moving forward, nice work to the body. Good takedown defense, mixes in his own grappling and wrestling too if needed. I think he can fend off all the takedown attempts from Klose. If he does get taken down, get back up. Because I anticipate Klose probably mixing in the grappling a little bit. Klose may be a little stronger and a little bit more physical. But just one thing to mention here. Fighting out an MMA lab, those fighters, they're on a bad skid lately. I don't know what it is. Maybe there's some bad juju in the air over there, but MMA lab guys are not really fighting too well there. But Klose needs more volume. And if he can mix in the wrestling and the grappling, take down Barboza, that'd be really good for him. Honestly. But him himself, he can get taken down hell on the ground. He can get held up on the fence. I just think Barboza's going to put a masterclass on over Klose. Maybe a 29-28, okay? Cool. Klose maybe wins the first round because Barboza kind of been known to be a slow starter, right? But, yeah, Edson Barboza, I got him by decision. That is my official pick for this fight. Let's go. All right, next fight. And I'm disappointed to see this fight so low on the card, but I'm excited to see it. Nevertheless, we have Nursulton Ruziboev versus Bryan the Butcher Battle. Odds on the fight, -175 for Bryan Battle, +150 for Ruziboev. My pick for this fight is going to be the Butcher. Give me Bryan Battle. This is another one of the guys that I have continued to back, and why would I not back him again? Honestly, I don't think he's favored enough. He should be like -250 in my opinion here. Like, Ruziboev, even though he has wins in the UFC, okay, and I can't knock you for getting wins in the UFC. What I can knock, though, is the level of competition they are. Bruno Ferreira, Dricus Dumas, Eric Meconico, Dustin Stoltzfus. You know what I mean? When you went up to that next level in Buckley, he handled you for all 3 rounds. You had okay moments, right? But taken down in hell with ease. Bryan Battle's going to see that. Bryan Battle has wrestling. He's probably going to go to grapple and take him down. We saw him try and take down Randy Brown multiple times in his last fight. And Bryan Battle's fighting a lot better people, and I think beating better people too. I mean, this is a step down from Randy Brown, in my opinion. Right? And we just saw Randy Brown beat up freaking... Oh, that Dutch guy. The dude that goes... Nicholas Dalby. We just saw him beat him with in fashion, right? Randy Brown is looking pretty good. Bryan Battle beat Kevin Jousset in France, knocks him out. Known to be a good guy. Was beating up Angelusa, but Angelusa, I mean, he was going to lose that fight anyway. This is technically a no contest. Beat AJ Fletcher by submission. Beat Gabe Green by knockout. Like, Bryan Battle has some solid wins on his resume. And again, I can't knock you for winning in the UFC, Ruziboev, right? But I can judge you for the level of competition. Now, Ruziboev been fighting a while. He's only 31 years old. Dude is 36-9, has so many fights on his career. Known to be this like first round finisher. He's tall and long for the division. But Bryan Battle, also tall and long too. Ruziboev has this like little bouncy movement, low hands. Decent work on the fence too. Nice kicks. So there are things to like about Ruziboev, and he does have that first round finishing ability. We've seen it with guys, and that straight that he has, the counters, they're really nice. But you couldn't put out Dustin Stoltzfus. What makes you think you're gonna do that with Bryan Battle, right? And I think you're going from Stoltzfus to Battle, man. It's a tough jump here, dude. Battle's on a surge right now. Like, he's not a guy you want to mess with. So, overall, I like the confidence. I like the shit talking. Bryan Battle be barking in the octagon. I like the wrestling advantage and the striking. I mean, don't sleep on Bryan Battle's striking. He has knockout power. And his striking is dang good too. Has really good kicks. He can kick those, slim legs of Ruziboev. I got Bryan Battle. I'm going to take him by decision here. That's how this usually goes. I think he's going to follow a similar game plan to Joaquin Buckley. Not worried about the tallness or longness. Bryan Battle's pretty tall and has a good reach in comparison to Ruziboev too. Bryan Battle's just a guy I've backed, and it just keeps coming through for me. So why would I not do it again? Bryan Battle by decision. That's my official pick for this fight. All right, next fight. Our other women's fight of the night. We have Karine Killa Silva versus Dione the Witch Barboza. Odds on the fight, -170 for Silva, +145 for Barboza. My pick for this fight is going to be Dione Barboza. Yeah, give me the underdog here. Honestly, I'm a little surprised that she's this much of an underdog because she beat Karine Silva before. Prior to the UFC, she beat Karine Silva when she was just 1-0. Okay, like, this is a rematch here. And I tried for the life of me to try and find film on this fight. Couldn't find it. If anyone has film on that fight, send it to me. I'd love to see it because I couldn't find it. But she beat her back in the day by decision. I really don't know how the fight played out, but the fact that she beat Karine Silva when she was 1-0, and Karine Silva was like 9-3 at that time, something just keep note of, and actually I put a lot of stock into. Dione Barboza, good striking, very athletic and strong and physical looking. I mean, she's mean too. I like her mean aggression and her, her approach to fighting. Takedowns are good. They come early. She has really good top control, and her subs are live on the mat. And, we saw it in the last fight. She just handled that girl, right? Like, nice combos that she has. Really, power's good too. I like Dione Barboza. And she beat Karine Silva back in the day, but let's not sleep on Karine Silva. This girl was on a submission roll. Had 4 submission wins in a row. Poliana Botello, Ketlin Souza, Myron Moros, Ariana Lipski. Now, she fights Vivi. Tough look in the 3rd round. We see her gas out. Now, I will say this. Both of these girls don't really have the best gas tank, okay? Under might be something to look at here because both of these girls get super duper tired. But Karine Silva, decent on the fence in the clinch. And she thrives with top control. Really likes to look for those submissions and beat people up on the ground. I'm looking at the fight, right? Like, I don't see her subbing Barboza. Like, Barboza knows what she's doing on the mat, right? She's no dummy. I don't see her out striking Barboza either because Barboza got some heavy shots, mixes in the body shots too. Like, she may find a few clean shots on Barboza from time to time, but like, Barboza's just so physical and knowledgeable in the octagon. Beat her before. Silva's probably coming in with a chip on her shoulder, but coming off that loss there, where again, bad look when you're pulling guard and they're having to make you stand up. You know what I mean? In the fight, that means you're tired as hell. So, women's fight, anything can happen. I put a lot of stock into it. Barboza won before. I say she wins again. Give me Dione Barboza. Give me her by decision. I know I just said the under may be something to look at, but I think it gets, she wins the first 2 rounds and it gets sloppy in the 3rd round. They're just kind of waiting it out to go to the decision. So Dione Barboza by decision. That is my official pick for this fight. All right, next fight in our first fight of the evening. This is the Ultimate Fighter Championship, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We have Alibi Adiris versus Joseph Morales. Odds on the fight here. Okay, odds on the fight are not up yet, so I really don't know who's favored, actually. So we're just rolling in this with a pick. And my pick for this fight is going to be Alibi Adiris. Give me the Kazakhstan fighter, okay? Look, those Kazakhstan fighters are coming onto the scene right now, okay? Sulamabayev, Bezkov, Morozov, like, these guys are coming onto the scene from Kazakhstan. I like his striking. It's clean. And when he lands, it's just like he just has this crisp kind of style. And when he lands, it's super clean. Decent sprawls and takedown defense. Joseph Morales, jiu-jitsu guy. Multiple subs on his career. Likes to take people down. But I think Alibi can avoid that threat. I think he can avoid the submission threat too if taken down. He's not going to sit there on the mat. He has like a sense of urgency, right? And he's also undefeated too. That also kind of puts a little pep in his step because you want to get that and still, right? You don't want to suffer your first loss. You want to keep your record undefeated. He's coming out of Niza Fight Club, which Niza Fight Club, pretty decent organization. It's not terrible. But overall, I think he can fend off the takedowns from Joseph Morales. I think he can avoid the fence work. I think he can land the cleaner shots, and I think he can find a KO. I think he chins Joseph Morales. Morales had a brief stint in the UFC, was cut, went to Cage Warriors. Now you're coming to the Ultimate Fighter. Again, he's a jiu-jitsu guy. I don't see him taking down Alibi. I don't. If he does get him taken down, his top control is really not that good. We've seen people get up at times. But, he can keep taking people down. And the people that can't handle it, he can, ultimately get submissions. That's where he kind of gets those wins from that. So, but he was cut from the UFC before, trying to make it back. I don't think he's really coming back super improved. We're going to beat a guy from Kazakhstan who really wants it and wants to keep his record undefeated. Morales packed the victory. Takedowns, control, make the fight dirty, hold him against the fence. But I think Alibi finds a second round KO. I think Joseph Morales gets a little bit tired and Alibi finds it with a counter shot coming in sloppy, or hits him with a nice 1-2. Just like maybe like throws an elbow. I don't know why I keep seeing him throw an elbow. Maybe I just wanted to do it. But Adiris by KO. That is my official pick for this fight. All right, guys. Those are all 13 fights for UFC 319. I gave you a pick and prediction for every single fight. We went 11-1 last week. I'm hoping to roll the good momentum into this week. If you're new or if you have not, please click that subscribe button. We are on the road to 300 subscribers. I am less than like 5-10 away. So, I mean, I just need a few people. Click that subscribe button. Get me to my little goal here of 300. And then secondly, my Patreon's free. The link is in the description. That's where you can see all of my bets when I place them. Bets video comes out on Wednesday. But I put my bets in before that, okay? We got to get the odds when they're good because they always sway in the opposite way, okay? Pasty's on to the good odds. So let's have a good week this week for UFC 319. Young Pasty out.